Welcome everyone. We're super excited to have you here. I know you had a lot of amazing sessions to choose from and you chose us. So we are so ecstatic, you have no idea. We're looking at these little eyeball icon go up in number, and it's really exciting. So welcome. You're in the Relational Organizing How Community Power Wins Elections session. And if we were in person right now, we would totally be greeting you just like Jimmy Fallon is greeting these amazing folks right now. So again, today we're going to be talking about using the power of community to win elections. And you'll be able to do it from your own phone. So I am really happy to have you with us. Don't forget to chat with us throughout. Again, Tessa pointed out that there's two options. You can chat in the main event or in the session. Please do chat with us in the session so we can engage with you. We want this to be as engaging as possible. We have an amazing moderator with us helping us out. So before we introduce ourselves, I want to go over the outline of the presentation. We'll introduce ourselves first, and then there's really going to be two main parts which are in the middle. The first one, Tessa's going to lead us into talking about relational organizing. Your one-on-one steps, you know, what it is, just breaking it down, making it sure we all are on the same page with a good frame of reference from Tessa's experience. So I'm really excited to hear that part. Secondly, we'll go into the Empower app training. So we have an amazing new tool at NARAL that we want to share with you all. A lot of you are leads throughout different states and regions, and we want to have you as organizers, if you're willing to help build out circles of empowerment. So the Empower app is going to do that. We're going to do a training, and we're actually going to have time at the end to practice. So we've allocated a good bit of time there, and also in case we go over in any of the sections. So let's introduce our team. And so I'm really happy, again, to be here with y'all. If you want to drop your name, optionally, if you want to drop your pronouns and your location, please do so in the chat. We've been talking about different issues, and we would love to also hear now, too, what issues have been at the top of your mind during the pandemic. Also, in the chat box, if you do want to tell us, what is the coolest app that you have on your phone right now? You know, this is a good time to share how geeky or not geeky you are on your app, on your phone. But I know a lot of us spend our time on our phone. I live in a somewhat rural, I guess some people call it rural part of Georgia. And sometimes my internet connection is not the best. But I love my apps because I can still interact with them. They still have some offline features. So what is the coolest app that you have on your phone right now? We'll drop that in the chat while I'm also introducing our team. I'm really excited to have with us moderating our chat and throughout this whole session, who's been a great support, Laura, who is our Midwest Regional Organizing Manager here at NARAL. And my co-facilitator with me today, our co-speaker who we'll be learning about relational organizing with, is Tessa, who is the regional organizer for the Midwest at NARAL. And then you have myself, Maria de Rosario, it's my first name, and I serve as our Southeast Regional Organizing Manager. And with that, I'll end off with our community agreements. Please engage with our discussion around organizing at any time in the chat box throughout this presentation. Laura de Palma will be moderating for us. Do engage each other with respect and in good faith. We do have moderators. We've talked about community agreements throughout both days and throughout the different sessions. I know we have an amazing group of folks who've been engaging and chatting throughout, so we want to see that same level of energy, respect, and in good faith interacting with each other here as well. And with that, I'll pass it off to our co-facilitator.
All right, y'all. So we are going to be talking about relational organizing today. I'm super excited to kind of set the stage about what is relational organizing, how are we using it currently, and how are we going to use it in an electoral set moving forward towards the 2020 general election. So let's take a look at the definition for relational organizing. So really, relational organizing is the process by which campaigns, groups, or individuals harness their personal relationships to affect community change. Okay, so I know many of you thinking, this is not new. And you're right, it's not new, but it's at the heart and the origins of organizing. As movements have evolved and technology has evolved, we have moved away from organizing relationally, and we need to move back. Instead, we rely on things like models, predictors, and voter databases, all of which are critical and very important as we look towards contacting voters and connecting with folks going into the general 2020 election. But we also know we have to refocus and use modern takes on old tactics like relational organizing. So we have to have conversations within our own community to drive change. So I have a couple questions for you. Go ahead and answer in the chat box. Who here has phone banked? Me, I have. Or done a text bank? If you volunteered with NARAL, you've probably gotten asked a half a dozen times already this year to phone bank or text bank with us. But answer this. How often do you actually find yourself talking to people? Not so often, right? And show of hands, who personally does not pick up a phone number you don't recognize? Me for sure. I do not pick up a number I don't recognize because I don't know who's contacting me. While these tools and these tactics are still critical to running effective campaigns, they are not enough anymore. So I'm not saying we should stop phone banking or text banking. These are really important. We still need to contact voters who we might not be able to contact through relational organizing, but we have to also add in this additional element and really put focus here. So with relational organizing, how can your mom ignore your call or text? You know, maybe she will, but I know my mom wouldn't ignore my call or text. And I also know that every election I work with her to set up a voting plan for her and figure out, you know, if she knows how to vote by mail and all of that. So relational organizing is more effective than reaching out to total strangers. At the end of the day, it's one of the most effective tools we have in our toolbox. The messenger matters as much, if not more than the message. And that's really critical. Are you more likely to be moved to action if someone you know has a direct connection to the issue that you are making an ask of? Most of the time, this is true. So as we look at relationships and as we move into training on this tool that we can use for relational organizing, let's take a moment to think about the relationships we hold in our own lives. Relationships are our most important asset, and so is our sphere of influence. Our networks are broad, even if it doesn't feel like it sometimes. I know while I'm in staying home, staying safe here in Michigan, sometimes I'm like, do I even know anybody anymore? I'm not sure I do. And that's not true, right? You know, I have my bubble of people I'm interacting with, but I also have social media followers, as do most of you probably. And so those are relationships that we can build in. These are relationships we've invested trust, time, we have shared values, we have similar interests, and we have an emotional attachment to them. These are where we can make change. When we call strangers to get out the vote, we are often having pre-scripted conversations, but within our networks and amongst our peers, we can tailor our conversations to be more organic and fitting to the person we are conversing with. And I know that can actually seem way more intimidating sometimes than reaching out to strangers, right? Asking your friend if they're going to be voting for a specific candidate or on a specific issue, that can be kind of intimidating. I want to share with you this quote from one of my biggest influences in my organizing world is Adrienne Marie Brown, the author of Emergent Strategy. Adrienne has some key pillars of emergent strategy, which is essentially a form of organizing. One of them being, which I think really well applies to relational organizing, Adrienne says, focus on critical connections more than critical mass. Build the resilience by building the relationships. And I think this is really at the foundation of relational organizing and something that I just want to pin right onto my desk so I can see that every day. A relationship to the right person can have more leverage than a large group agreeing or just reaching out to the mass. Invest in the relationship because it is critical. So let's look at relational organizing in an electoral setting now that we have that mindset. We win on the margins. Okay, recently I was on a phone bank with a volunteer and Laura was on it too. And this volunteer said to us, we win on the margins because we hadn't contacted that many people. or feeling a little downhearted. And I thought, wow, that is what I need to keep in my mind as I move towards the 2020 general election, especially when I'm considering relational organizing and who I can reach out to in my network. Have you ever heard of a race where a candidate only won by a slim margin of votes? Go ahead and drop in the chat box if you have, or an issue. Think about that. I know a candidate here in Michigan in 2014, he lost his race by 59 votes to an anti-choice extremist. That's it, 59 votes. I think there's 38 people on this call. I'm fairly positive between all 38 of us, if we had asked our networks to get out the vote, to go vote for Sean McCann, easily, he would have gotten the 60 votes he needed to beat that anti-choice extremist. I am happy to say in 2018, he did win his race against that same incumbent by a couple thousand votes. So that's incredible. And he really invested in his community in those years that passed. So again, we win on the margins. And this is really important. Relational organizing is by far the most effective strategy in increasing voter turnout. It's organic and personal, and chances are that if you're passionate about this issue, you're already having these conversations within your networks. What's different, and this is key, when we apply it to an electoral strategy, we are tracking these conversations and we are making concrete asks at the end. We are working to identify voters. We are working on bettering our models and universes. And most importantly, we're persuading folks, we're registering people to vote, and we're churning out the vote while building and maintaining authentic relationships. So, at the end of the day, relational organizing is sustainable organizing. And that is the most important takeaway right here when we're talking about why it's important. Not only are we investing in relationships for an electoral seasons, we're moving beyond the election season. We have those relationships built. So when it's time to ask folks to come volunteer, at a Pride event for a tabling, we have that relationship. We don't have to go out and try to reconnect with folks. So why is relational organizing hot right now? You've probably heard quite a few folks talking about it, and it has been used by progressive presidential campaigns. AOC, she really pioneered it in her election, and was it what year was that now? I'm totally blanking. Time has no meaning now. But that's okay. We'll come back to it. There's tons of new digital tools, and you've probably used some like Hustle. Hustle, amazing tool, really great way for us to reach out to our members at NARAL. We love to hustle. And there's a general dissatisfaction with how impersonal politics have become recently. I think we can all agree with that. So really investing in our relationships, it's an exciting time. It's a great way to move towards the general election. Let's look at why it's effective. Oh, I think I may have skipped a slide, but we'll just talk about that real quick. Again, higher voter contact rates. This is really important. Local phone numbers and numbers lead to higher contact rates. But again, would your mom, dad, sister, or bingo partner ignore your phone call? Hopefully not. Higher turnout effect. This is another key point to relational organizing, is that millennials are more likely to engage with their networks than they are, we never check our email. I'm a millennial. I check my work email, but my general email, no, I never check that. And who knows? I write student loans. I'm not picking up random numbers, like I said before, because who knows who's trying to contact me. Data on young people is hard for campaigns to acquire. It's very hard. And this is a new obstacle that we're facing. Not only that, it's a really great way for us to reach out to traditionally disenfranchised voters, Black and brown folks, and they have been doing this relational organizing in their communities for as long as time can tell. So we really need to be looking to these folks as we're moving forward with bringing relational organizing into our organizing strategies. Okay, so let's take a look at harnessing the power of our relationships. So you know that what relational organizing is, but now let's think about, in these next few slides, how we can actually implement it into our personal organizing. and how we can move the hearts and minds of the voters. So develop your why. And this is really important. It may seem like a little silly at first. You already know, like, yeah, I'm a supporter of NARAL. I'm a pro-choice voter. But why are you a pro-choice voter? Have you ever done a story of self-training? I know it's a really popular training. If you have, go ahead and drop that in the chat box. If not, and that's something you're interested in doing, this is a training that really helps you develop your personal story of why you're involved as a volunteer, why you're a pro-choice voter, why you call yourself pro-choice. If that's something you're interested in, I'm sure whatever region you're in, an organizer could contact you and help you figure out your story of self, is what we call it. But essentially, you want to develop a little elevator pitch, right? Something you can tell your friends and family in your network why you're passionate about this and why you're having this conversation with them. And something you can keep brief and to the point, but that you can also expand upon later in conversation. Okay, second, we want to evaluate our networks. Wait for that. There we go. Okay, our networks are often much bigger than we initially think. Who are the people you can connect with? Again, we touched on this earlier, but this is important for later when we review the relational organizing tool we're going to be using, because we're going to actually start to reach out to some of our network. So go ahead and brainstorm right now. What groups? Are there school groups? Are there other resistance or political groups you're a part of whose issues and identities intersect with reproductive freedom issues? Chances are yes, because reproductive freedom issues encompass all of the issues, right? What community organizations are you a part of? Are you a part of a neighborhood group? Are there worship groups that you could reach out to? You know, relational organizing really started within worship groups and within church communities and within union groups here in the States. So let's think about what groups we're a part of. What friends do you have that you think like, hey, I bet they would be interested in volunteering for NARAL. I've just never asked them. Or I want to make sure that, you know, my Bunko Buddy, it's a game we play here in Michigan. I don't know if other people play it across the country. I wonder if they have a plan to vote yet. Are they registered to vote? I better ask them. And what family members? Again, every election, doesn't matter if it's a primary, small local race, my mom and I sit down and we talk through what her voting plan is. Is she going to vote by mail? Who is she voting for? Does she understand everything that's on the ballot? It's a conversation I really look forward to having with my mother every election. All right, and then last, what is your ask? This, again, is important. Chances are you are going to be reaching out to folks, if you're reaching out to folks on behalf of an organization like NARAL, and later on when we actually practice, we do have a script for you to use. There are several things you could be asking them to do. Are you asking them to commit to vote? Are you asking them to volunteer? Are you asking them to sign a pledge or petition? Or most importantly, are you just checking in with them, right? Because it's a big part of relational organizing is building that relationship, checking in with them, just like you normally would, right? Calling up your brother like, hey, how are you doing today? You know, has been a while since I've talked to you. By the way, did you know there's an election coming up? Are you registered? We've never really talked about that before. Building those organic conversations. So as we move into the part where we look at the tool we're going to be using, I want to leave you with one last quote. Move at the speed of trust. Again, this is from Adrienne Marie Brown with the amazing Mean Girls Trust Fall exercise. And again, a quote that I really love, and I wish I could just like pin it to my forehead. How fast can you move is determined by how much trust you have. And that's really important, especially when we're looking at electoral outreach. You know, we need to connect with so many people, but the people won't trust you and they won't take your message seriously unless you're vulnerable with them. And what better space to do that within the relationships we already hold. All right.
Tessa, that was so awesome. I love how you broke down everything into 3 simple sections. I definitely feel ready, like identifying my why, evaluating of folks that I have around me and then go ahead and making my ask. I love it. So we're going to go into now our app, which is called Empower. So bear with me. So the Empower app. So yes, it can be found on your Apple App Store or your Google Play Store. But I will be giving everyone towards the end of this section, as we get into the practicing part of it, I will give everyone a special link to be able to sign up for the Empower app today. So you can actually practice this from home and you won't have to wait. And this is actually a pretty awesome preview because we haven't shared it out publicly yet at NARAL, and I'm super excited that Tessa and I get to be the folks to talk to y'all about it and give you a nice preview of what the Empower app does and how it's able to facilitate everything that Tessa just said into an actual application that's centralized on your phone, where you can go to and start activating more folks to make sure that, one, they're participating, or maybe there's folks who are interested in getting more involved who you have no idea yet. So let's talk about the Empower app. So what is it? So it is a relational organizing tool, and we'll have access to Agile on the back end as organizing directors, but you can join, as many of you are leaders in our movement, leader in our organization, and volunteer heavily. We would love to have you as well as organizers. So you can reach out to your own circles of connection and start creating a really strong organizing now. And I think this pandemic has especially highlighted everything that has, that even more our elections just, there's a huge need. November 2020 is coming pretty fast. And we definitely want to give y'all another tool, a tool that you can effectively use for the purpose of getting out your own circles, connecting with them a little bit more. So let's give you a sneak peek. So beautiful. So the Empower app. So here's some highlights. So after you're able to download it, and again, I'll give you the link towards the end. After you're able to download it, you'll get to the main page. And the main page will have, at the top here, it'll say Recruit New Leaders, which is where you're going to add in your folks, 10 people at a time. It'll also have another section here. If you're an organizer, this will vary, but it'll allow you to schedule follow-ups, celebrate with leaders, and do call to action follow-ups. And this is great because we can actually connect with you to setting up different call to actions that not only you will be doing, but other folks around you, other organizers can also do. There's also a section here, and I know the screen's a little bit small, but I've tried to enlarge. You'll see that there's a training calendar. This is one of my favorite sections. I've gotten to use this app now since fall of last year, and I absolutely appreciate the fact that the creators of the app have an ongoing calendar Monday through Friday where you can sign up to meet and learn from other organizers across the country. And these are organizers not just in fight for reproductive justice, but they're also in different issue areas that are also interact and are part of intersectional circles with us. So this training calendar is updated very frequently, and you'll get to sign up. You don't have to go through NARAL to do it. You can actually sign up on your own accord. You can also just listen in or actually take part of that conversation. I think this alone is like a beautiful tool because you'll be able to network and learn. Then the three icons at the bottom, you'll have your home page where you can recruit new leaders 10 at a time. You'll have your volunteers section where you can go into the folks that you have already signed up, and you'll also have your personal list. So let's take a look at what it would look like if we press go at the top to recruit new leaders. So the very first screen you'll see here is on the left, to the far left. It says brainstorm friends. It's time to brainstorm 10 people. You'll only have to worry about 10 folks at a time who it's important to talk to about these issues. So you'll press select phone contacts at the bottom, and it'll explain to you a little bit better. And it'll explain to you how it works. You're going to first brainstorm a list of friends and family. You're going to then prioritize them. After you've prioritized these folks, you'll go ahead and get to go into your conversations. So if you can see here, this is a screenshot of some of my contacts on here, and I've chosen as a sample 3 folks that I'm going to prioritize with reaching out to for NARAL. So the very next page, and I think that this is actually a beautiful feature that we've already set up for you at NARAL with the Empower app, and is to check on your friends. So anytime there's a call to action, it'll appear here at the top. The call to action that currently is in there, if you are going to sign up today, is to check on them about COVID-19. I think over the last couple of days, we've heard a lot of why it's so important to check in on friends and family, especially with the amount of disinformation that's going around. You don't know if you're missing out on opportunities to let folks know about the pandemic, or to give them some best practices that could really help them get more correct information than what be on their news feed or what they're hearing from other places. So I love that one of our first asks that is listed here is about COVID-19. And as y'all heard yesterday in one of the main session plenaries, it's really important when you're having these one-on-ones to have an easy ask, and just as Tessa said, take it slow, take it at a pace that is fitting to the person that you're reaching out to. And maybe the very first things you do, as we have listed here, is just check in on them. How are they doing? How has quarantine been? It's not easy to be in quarantine. I think a lot of us don't even sometimes take a step back, but just a simple, how are you doing? Giving them some information about the CDC. And this is also something that gives a link for CDC information in Spanish. Great, so we've done that. So let's say you've prioritized, I've listed here as an example, my friend Alicia Hernandez, who may or may not be watching with us right now. She's given me permission to just show her name. But I have here a sample screenshot. So I prioritized some folks on my Empower app, and one of them is Alicia Hernandez. So after I've messaged them, I can either call them, text them, send them a message on Messenger, or sending them a message on WhatsApp. For Alicia, I actually sent a message on WhatsApp. And so, after I've checked in with her, the app will allow me to put in. So the first part is the selection, but you'll get to answer, did you check in on them? What do they need? So there's a few options here. Yes, I help them find resources. Yes, I help them, they have a need, but I was unable to help them. See notes for more details. Those notes are important because we can go in, and if there's something that we can help you with, especially in our call to actions, we want to provide those resources to you. Next, you'll see, were they interested in assisting the community? If yes, add more notes. So the notes section can be used as a follow-up to any of these call to actions, but it can also be in general. If you want to have notes for yourself or have notes for us to organize with you, you can put those at the end, and you'll see that on the third section that I've listed here in this PowerPoint. Now, I'm really excited because as someone who I got to, in my previous job, work with the Empower app, I've gotten to see how Empower has added new features. And what I'm really excited about is a new filter feature that you can log in on a desktop if and when you sign up with us and we assign you an organizer role, you're actually able to filter through your contacts and some of the conversations that you've had. So here's a preview of what the filter looks like on the desktop version. And this was just added on about a month ago. Another new feature, Español. So for those of us who speak Spanish, para nosotros que hablamos español, Empower app automatically detects your default language. So if you have your phone set to Spanish, you'll get to see everything in your native language. And I think this is an amazing feature, and I'm sure they'll be adding on additional ones. But I wanted to highlight that as a function for relational organizing that is not often seen. And we know there's a lot of Spanish speakers who are often they're not reached out to, right? So turning out the Spanish-speaking vote, the Latinx vote, and the vote for young folks and other additional rising electoral Americans, I think is heavily important. And I hope that this app is able to connect with y'all and, have people feel more at ease. So now that we've gone through this, let's go ahead and download the Empower app. I'm going to try to put this in our chat as well. But if you have time and if you have your phone ready and charged, go ahead and go to the hyperlink there and let me know in the chat if you're able to access it. Good. So it's going to be https :/. Thank you so much. And it's going to be getempowered.com / Maria D. So I think you should be able to click on it, and it should take you to download it. If someone is able to try it out, please let me know. Beautiful. Wonderful. Thank y'all so much. Okay, so if you're able to download it, let's go ahead and spend a little bit of time practicing. We have a good bit of time allocated for this. So let's practice going through, and we'll open it up if anyone has questions, comments. Please let us know.
Having me go through all
Who
my
else has
contacts, and I'm like, I've never even talked to so many of these people in so long. What a good chance to talk, reach out to them.
Yes, and I think it's beautiful that there's so many folks here too who are, after we've gone through all the different plenaries today around disinformation, I think it's even more urgent to go ahead and make sure that we're checking in on folks. So as you're doing that, I'm going to pull out my phone to see if there's new additions in my app. And this app is really, really, oh, great. So Lisa's got it. Wonderful. And the sign up, another feature I love about the Empower app is with the sign up, if you sign up with your phone or your email, it's easy to recover. You don't have to remember about password, because what happens is each time that you log in or log out of the device or log into a new device. Beautiful. We have Elizabeth, Stephanie, Laura, cannot be reached. So let's try again, Laura, and I can always check with you offline. But what I love about it is that you don't have to remember the password because it'll send you a 6-digit code each time you log in. And I know that's very helpful for myself because I forget my passwords all the time. Got it. Nice. So it worked on your second try. Sweet. So you might want to try again then. If you're having issues, try it a second time, maybe refresh out of the page. Search. Perfect. So if anyone wants to try checking in on their friend, I'm gonna go through the steps again and add some more folks on my list and check in to see how they're doing. So text my friend Alicia. And I'm just gonna send them gonna send her information about the CDC, ask her how she's doing. And while we're going through this, I'll give you some best practices, some sample practices or sample ways that I've used this in the past. So sometimes you might have the question, oh, how do I start off this conversation with folks who I haven't? Well, really, I would start off first with folks that you have had the conversation with, right? That you have gotten to talk about reproductive justice, reproductive freedom, and go ahead and say, hey, I'm part of NARAL, and I've gotten to, I'm a super volunteer at NARAL, and we definitely value you. And I've gotten to use this cool new app. It's called Empower. Can we start like chatting on there and maybe organize some folks? And then they'll be like, yeah, of course, you know, because they're like your BFFs, and you talk to them about like how much fill in blank representative pisses you off all the time with crazy policies, or blank elected official. And so now you'll get to talk to them more on the Empower app about electoral work. And so I think starting F1 with friends you have had the conversation with, you know, Tessa gave a lot of great examples about some of the different organizations you're a part of. Talking with folks that you're already comfortable, I would say, is the best. And even if you can't fill up in your first round of recruitment 10 folks, I would go ahead and go, even if it's 2 or 3, because once you get into the practice of using the app, it'll become less intimidating. I think it's at first, but go with those easy asks, folks. The person that you know is an easy ask to say like, hey, join me on this app. Let's do relational organizing. I'm here, because you want to get that confidence going. And then after there, I sometimes default to, you know, I'll post different news articles about, I've posted actually quite a good bit about disinformation. You know, when the comment was made about children not catching COVID, I posted a lot of different articles about that because that was something I felt very strongly about, it very close to home. And so I know from the group of people that interact with me on Facebook or Twitter, around my sentiments about the disinformation that was made about children and COVID, I know I could easily reach out to them and say like, hey, how are you doing? You know, how have things been? And gotten a chance to talk. And it's beautiful because a lot of folks I actually reach out through Facebook Messenger. I spent quite a good bit of time on there. And so that's what I would go with first, right? You could just easily open up a post that's related to the issues that you want to organize around with NARAL and start just talking to people who've interacted with that post. I think that's an easy assessment because sometimes you'll forget, oh yeah, like such and such from high school or such and such from, you know, I'm part of PTA, such and such from PTAs mentioned that one time, you know, how pissed she was about Georgia trying to dictate women's bodies, right? And so I'll remember a conversation like that and say like, okay, I'm going to reach out to them, right? But sometimes you forget who these different folks are. But I think looking through those posts is a good reminder. Another best practice is, again, like you don't have to fill up 10 people at a single time. You can also just go slowly. But I would love to hear what questions y'all have as you're looking around the app. Do you see the call to action? Are you able to get your phone contacts in? What is everyone experiencing on the app? Please feel free to type your questions in the chat box. Thank you, Laura. Not everyone at once. I know we're all like, I'm joking, like, you know, that's the beautiful thing about chat boxes. We can like, there's no talking over each other. You don't have to worry about like, oh my God, it just cut off Maria de Rosario. It totally did not cut me off because there's a chat box. And Tessa, do you want to introduce the beautiful baby that you have?
Hi everyone, Rylan, this is my baby. He just woke up from his nap a little bit earlier than I had hoped, so he's gonna chill with me for a second. Can you say hi, Rylan? It's like, no. So
we have a special guest for this, y'all. He is like messaging his contacts already. He's like, he's on it.
Yep, he is. Or phone. Travis is downloading it. Welcome, Travis.
Yes, so great point. It is the contacts on your phone list that you're able to integrate. And so you get to choose whether or not you want to reach out to them through the platform. You don't have to. You can also manually enter in numbers. If there's, for instance, if you've ever like hosted a phone banking party and you had different folks sign in, and you wanted to pull out that sign-in sheet, you can also do that. Sweet, I see more people are downloading it. And yes, showing some baby love.
Yeah, you can add more. You can explore it on the app to expand your network. If you go to personal list and scroll to the bottom, it should say add more people.
Yes, great question. Thank you, Tessa. And so if you want to get started, you can definitely check in. So I'll be able to check in with y'all as you're if you've used my link to sign up, I can check in with you. You can also check in with any of our anyone from our organizing department. We're all on the Empower app. A lot of us will have also the ability to, on the back end, look at different states that we're organizing with. So that's a great question. And where can you explore to expand your network? So thank you, Tessa, to answer that. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns, suggestions too? If you've used something similar, I know there's similar concepts and approaches. Maybe you've done this manually with like the vote tripling concept or anything else. Please, feel free to also share insights you have. If you're interested in Laura, that's a great question. And the question was, should you say yes to being alerted to new actions in Georgia, even though you're in Maryland? You don't have to, and I can also follow back up with you if you want us to connect with our Northeast folks, because we can definitely do that as well.
Yeah, there's definitely people from all over the country. We can definitely follow up and yeah. I'm in Michigan's right now. I know the rest of you are in Georgia's, right?
I think there's different folks. I know there's folks in Texas, California on this chat. So we can definitely connect you with our, we have an amazing state organizer in California that we'll connect you with. We have someone over as well, the Northeast region, Laura, so I'll put you in contact with them. Hey, it's a good point. It's all remote work and everyone knows what's going on with Georgia. So, shameless plug here, like as much as y'all want to do in the Southeast, I would happily take all of your help. And I know Tessa would as well, because Tessa's doing
Michigan can be a little sometimes.
Yes, this is so great. Thank you, Travis. A great reminder that you can also still check out the Expo booth. So we have a list there of all the state affiliates and chapters. Beautiful.
Thanks, Travis.
Yes, take your time. We'll go through the rest of the presentation. We'll just want to wrap it up. But I wanted y'all to get a good time slot with us on the Empower app if you had any questions, because we want to be able to help you. And this is a tool that you can go ahead and start using the rest of the day or next week. I know you want to enjoy our amazing stage and networking and expo options throughout the rest of the day. So feel free to drop in more questions. I'm going to go through the rest of the PowerPoint, and then we'll return back with questions, comments, suggestions that you might have. So to end off about the Empower app, do engage more. I think now more than ever, you have no idea, maybe the neighbor down the street who you talk to frequently about so many things needs a reminder, needs a plan to go vote. I love how Tessa talked about going through that plan with her mother, because that's so important. Sometimes it's the people closest to us who later after November tell us, oh yeah, can you believe I didn't make a plan to vote. They probably won't say I didn't make a plan to vote, right? That's probably just us who talk about plans to vote. but they'll probably tell you like, oh yeah, I forgot, or I got so busy, or I had to go to the grocery store during those like new limited hours after work, and I got just so behind. I was eating at my favorite restaurant, and I just forgot to vote. So this is, a good time now to start talking about planning to vote, especially too with folks who might want to do absentee ballots or anything like that. So go ahead and create your circle. You can create it on the Empower app, update them, engage with them, check on them, see how they're doing during everything that's going on during the pandemic. And then feel free to continue to expand your network, add more folks throughout. Additional thoughts, questions? This is really the end of our presentation, and we're extremely thankful that you're here with us. And if you're interested in using Empower, you have that link. You can also join our Facebook groups, and our email addresses are listed there for you. Thank y'all so much for attending. We're going to stay on until 4 o'clock. We have 4 o'clock Eastern time, and we're here and available for any other questions or concerns that y'all might have. Yes, definitely would love to connect with you after this.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you all so much. Again, please feel free to ask any questions you may have in the chat box. Or let us know how it's going if you were able to reach out to any of your contacts.
And also show y'all the Google Calendar we have of the upcoming trainings that you're able to sign up for. So let me do that real quick.
Yeah. And I'll just make a plug for those. I attended their training this past week, and it was incredible. There were organizers from all across the country on folks who were doing really amazing work for like Get Out the Native Vote in Wisconsin, folks doing some voter outreach stuff in Arizona, people doing union organizing work. It was really great. It was such a fun training. So I would really encourage you to join it just for networking purposes if you're trying to broaden your network. But it was really incredible. Yep, I will drop my email address. Oh, Laura's got it. Thank you, Laura.
Okay, I'm gonna try to share this again. Chrome tab, here it is. Share. So you should be able to see now. You should be able to see the calendar. So this is how it looks like on the back end. But the calendar looks the exact same for y'all as well. So you'll see that Tuesday through Friday of this upcoming week, they have a lot of different trainings. Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, they have a relational organizing training. At 2:30, they have a organizational leadership session 1 on leading. And they also have a study hall. Again, like these, they'll often leave a lot of time for discussions. The Fridays are trainings I used to frequent, and it has the registration link there as well. And as you can see, like they have these planned out like months in ahead. So like September is already full. They have ongoing trainings. And I think this is just another opportunity for all of our amazing leaders to further get practice and further connect with other folks. And the city, is the city required to add a person for the Empowerment app? So the reason it asks for it is so that it can also help make sure that like we're organizing folks like who need to register to vote or are registered already. So yes, it is also a requirement. Another question is, this may be a rookie question, where do we access this calendar? Great, so if you go to the Home tab, and I'll show you on the PowerPoint, if you go to the Home tab, it's actually there. So in the bottom left, when you see the little house icon, The training is all the way at the bottom. So I can show that to you again. So the training calendar is there at the bottom, right above the three icons. Once you press on the house tab icon. So that's where the training calendar is. And you can go ahead and start planning, maybe not next week. Maybe you won't attend next week, but if you have some downtime at the end of August or something like that, again, they flush out these calendars well in advance. So it's pretty cool to have that available.
Yes.
Any other questions? Can't figure out how to get out of selecting contacts to get to calendar. You should be able to go back. It should be in the lower left-hand corner, but let me try to make sure. So select phone contacts. So actually you should have at the top left, the back arrow that takes you back to where you started. And then once you get on that personal list, you can, once you see personal list at the top, you should be able to see the house icon where it says home and click on that. So it should look like this. Yeah, top left. The top left has 3 horizontal lines for menu and still only shows the contacts. Okay, I might have to preview on my end, and I'll look for that, but you should be able to have full function of it. We'll check that out. I'm going to save your name and I'll circle back.
Looks like Angelica is having the same problem.
Okay. So I might have to go in and save your info. I might have to go in and add y'all in or approve your ad. Sorry about that.
Be a circle on it. Larry, are you talking about creating your personal list?
Yes. So you should be, yeah. You should be able to go to your personal, to where it says personal list at the bottom and add folks to start creating your own circle. And that was just a general blanket terminology we used. Any other questions as I'm checking this out on the back end? No other questions? Yes, we'll definitely circle back with you, Larry. I'll circle back with y'all throughout the rest of the session so that you can have this as we wrap up the rest of the weekend. I see. Okay, so we'll go through. It was really just, Larry, was it? So I'm sure you're able to see this. Are you able, do you see the question about checking in on your friends and family? And when I said like creating your circle, it was really like as a blanket statement. There's not a specific feature right now on Empower that's called circle or anything like that. Okay, good. So if you're able to see this, then you should be able to, from there, answer the follow-up questions of any contacts that you've reached out to. But Larry, I'll make sure to reach out to you as well. You cannot see the bottom taskbar with the calendar, volunteer. There's nowhere else to go. Thanks. Okay, so I might have to add y'all in manually so that you can function. You can see all those different functions, like the training calendar. Thank you for letting me know that that's not something that automatically goes in. And for anyone who maybe hasn't downloaded the app yet, here's my link again, and that should give you direct access. But if you've already created an account, don't worry, I'll make sure to follow up with y'all. I've copied your names into a Google Doc so I can have that there. Great. Any other questions? Comment, suggestions too. I would love to hear some of your experiences in organizing. Yes, and thank y'all so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to know also if there are any other, like, what do you think would be helpful to check in on your contacts with as we begin to do relational organizing? Like, aside from maybe COVID-19, are there other issues that you think would be worthwhile checking in on?
I really loved your example, Tessa, again, about the action plan. I'm going to message some of my folks to make sure they have a plan for voting.
Yeah, definitely. That's always been something my mom and I have done, and I try to carry it over into other relationships. My partner and I, we always try to create a plan together. Friends of mine always just say like, hey, what's your plan to vote? Are you, heading to the polls? In Michigan, we are now voting by mail, which is super exciting. Well, a lot of people are voting by mail, which is super exciting. So trying to figure out all of those new details because it can be really confusing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely so much stuff going on too with like absentee ballots.
Yeah. I think, yeah. Will there be anyone, Laura asked, will there be anyone voting by mail in the general election? I plan to. I'm excited to vote by mail. Emily will be. Wow, yay! So many people.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Beautiful. You'd be surprised how many people have never gotten to vote by mail and really have a lot of questions about it.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Yeah, if you've gotten to do it already, definitely reach out to folks around you because they may also be wanting to vote by mail and just not know how.
Yeah, I know lots of folks, especially here in Michigan, since the laws have just changed, just don't understand like what are the deadlines? When do they need to be in by? So that might be a really good thing for you to check in with your yeah, there are so many people here in Michigan voted by mail in the primary, which is super exciting. Larry Lipton said. So yeah, that's a great thing to check in with folks on. I know that the networking tab is still open as we're coming to the end. So if anyone wants to network.
Yeah. And Emily, you made a really great point too about how many folks have talked about the controversy around voting by mail. You actually really wouldn't believe the number of friends that I had, for instance, who told me that they thought they couldn't vote by mail because it had to be like some special circumstance. And I was like, no. And state laws vary, but in the state of Georgia and many other states, you can vote by mail. You can opt to vote by mail, especially right now. So yes, feel free to check out the expo booths before the next main stage event. It's 3:45 Eastern Time, 12:45 p.m. Pacific Time for our West Coast folks. So there's a good bit of time if you want to check out the expos, or if you want to do some networking, feel free.
Yeah, thank you all so much for jumping on. I really hope you get a chance to working station or check out the expo booths. I think that networking, so sorry, Ryland's being a little wild now. I think that's such a fun part of this platform, so definitely check that out and get a chance to meet other people.
Bradlin has just been so excited, I'm sure, about our presentation, Tessa.
Yeah, he's like, yes, everybody get to relational organizing, talk to your people. You gotta make change.
So much fun. Thank y'all for joining us. Really appreciate having y'all here.
Yes. I'm looking forward to the closing panel today. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, we've had some amazing speakers. I've just really enjoyed the insight and knowledge of all the different experts and leaders that we've had. So thank you, Larry.
Yes, thanks, Larry. You'll definitely have to connect since you're a fellow Michigander. Yeah.
Seriously, that's so great. Has it gotten better with, is it still pouring outside, or is the storm there?
No, it's still very hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we live without AC, so.
I know you were sharing that with me. I have a fan in front of me as we speak.
Very smart. I should have one in front of me. Right after this, I will go stand in front of the fan in our window.
It's either that or like I keep my hair pulled back constantly.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, definitely go check out that networking tab, folks.
Yeah, make sure you get to meet other amazing activists and leaders. It sounds like there's so many great people from all over the country here, from the West Coast to the East Coast. We're here. It's been really energizing too to see folks interact and comment and chat throughout. The summit has just been really re-energizing.
Yes, yeah. It's the no reproductive freedom without racial justice. I think that's going to be such an incredible conversation, and one that we really need to have. So I really encourage folks to stay on for that one and go to the main stage.
Yes, I love it. We love to see it.
Yesterday, 2 days ago now, Ryland learned how to roll over. So all day today and yesterday, he's just been practicing his new trick.
No
like he can roll from his back to his belly to his back. So that's been very fun.
Yes, I love it. So all of us want to thank you for joining the training, including Ryland, especially Ryland.
Yes, really thank you to everyone. Thank you for jumping on. Thank you for being amazing reproductive freedom fighters. We're so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you. I'll make sure to reach back out. I have a list of all your names as well. So
awesome.
I appreciate you letting me know what it looks like on your end. And you all are the very first folks, like the very first set of folks outside of our, outside of like the staff and everyone who's gotten to use it. So I'll make sure to follow up with y'all throughout the rest of the sessions.
Perfect.
But Tessa, I was like so excited when my kids started to roll over, and I admittedly loved tummy time a little bit too much because it was just like cute to see them and their little like strong heads.
Yes, I know. Well, he doesn't want to do tummy time anymore. He just wants to flip right over. So,
Well, that's fun. Yeah. That's more fun. Tummy time is like It's a cold workout. So who wants to do
that? Absolutely.
No one's working out their core during quarantine. You're right, Rylan. Like, that's not
Yeah, no one wants to do that. Come on. He's anxious to be moving and grooving all over the place. So it's sad to watch, but also exciting to watch.
I know, they grow up so quick.
Yep.
Except when they're twins, then they kind of like, it drags on the first 5 years.
I bet, yeah. And it's probably pretty intense with twins and the whole going back to school debate right now.
It's extremely intensive. It's extremely intensive. Yeah.
No. I was like, I'm glad my child is not old enough to go to school right now.
Yeah. Well, this was great. We had enough time. We have more than enough time to practice. We'll have to figure out in the next hour or so what's going on with people signing up initially. I might have to add them.
Okay.
But this is good.
Let me know if I can support in any way.
Yes, thank you.
Troubleshooting with folks.
Yeah, I might just have to classify them, like if they're leaders, organizers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'm also probably just going to connect folks too with like the different organizers we have in different regions. So
yeah,
I might do that, start a spreadsheet as well, folks, because it does have to be pretty, I think the way we've segmented it off too, it was by states. So folks probably, yeah, so that initial link was, I think, my Georgia link, because the North Carolina one has a 1 after it, and in South Carolina, I think, has a 2 after it. So it probably defaulted everyone to Georgia, which is great. You know, we always need more folks in Georgia. But I'll make sure to connect folks with our different regional organizing managers and organizers so that everyone can have someone in their own state.
Yeah. And if there's not someone in your state, because some states we don't have organizers in, we will definitely connect you with a regional organizing manager that covers your region. Great.
And Empower has added a lot of great new features that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, it seems like they're always working to make improvements.
Mm-hmm. Like just this week, they added a new feature to schedule the calls to action in a little bit more advanced, like streamlined fashion. So that's pretty cool. So you don't have to like go in the day of that you want it to go live. You can go ahead and schedule them out.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it does make sense that all of you got Georgia.
Well, folks, just a reminder, you can go ahead and leave and check out the expo booths or the networking section.
Yes, make sure you network.
Yeah, and under the expo, you can see what chapter states we have and if there's one in your area. So I would definitely encourage you to do that.
Yes, and you can even message folks and start reaching out and say like, hey, we're part of the Empower App training around relational organizing. Can you connect me in your state?
Yes.
Cool. So cool that you're in Washington.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we had folks from coast to coast.
Oh, it's so cool that there are people from all 50 states registered for this event in general.
No way.
Yeah, that's what Travis said. I was like, no way. That is so amazing. Yeah, and just so folks know, in 5 minutes, the next main stage event is going to be happening. So go get some water, re-up on your snackage, and head that way, because I think that's going to be a really great conversation you don't want to miss.
I think I'm going to do that myself, Tessa. I'm going to take a egg break.
Cool. I think I am too. I'm going to, I think we can call it an end.
Yes. Yes. Thank everyone so much. I'll see y'all
you
on the main stage. Talk to y'all soon.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.